Afternoon, everyone. We are live here with the Thread Talk Show. I am one of your hosts, Lady Darkberry, and along with myself, I have another co-host, Miss Riley. Say hey, Miss
Hey.
C. We also have two guests. We have a returning guest, Miss Deneen Robinson.
Yes.
All
Hello,
right,
everyone.
say hello. And we have a new guest. Her name is Ashley Burns.
Hello.
All righty. We are glad these ladies have joined us today to talk about our topic, which is, can a woman raise a boy to be a man? So that should be an interesting topic for us to discuss. Correct, ladies?
Correct.
All righty. But before we get into our topic, we want to talk about what's been happening in our lives. It's been a couple of weeks since Z and I have gotten together, and the other ladies are absent today, so we wish them well and hope to see them the next time we have a show. So let us know what's been going on, Missy.
The usual work, but I have a couple of vacations coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, just work.
Okay. Every time we ask you, you just say work.
Cause I don't have no life.
You'll have a life soon. I hear you're gonna be driving to California.
Yeah, vacation. That's it.
Okay.
I
well,
work.
you are a
I work to
brave woman.
vacation, and I work to pay bills. That's it.
Okay, well, at least you get a good vacation in. Because
Yes.
working without a vacation is
Yes.
never any fun.
No.
Exactly.
Pack a sucker.
Exactly. Yes, working without having a vacay really sucks.
Yes.
So I'll tell you guys what I've been doing. Yesterday, I participated with my online store, the Darkberry Co., in a women's conference, and it was entitled Power Forward Conference. So it was a lot of good speakers encouraging women to open businesses and how to run their businesses and just being entrepreneurial in their thinking and getting their lives in order and having other streams of income. So it was a good day and a lot of good speakers, and learned a lot, met some people. So that's what's been
Sounds
happening with me. It was quite interesting. The lady, her name is Star Williams. She was very nice, and so I enjoyed doing it. So it was fun. So that's all that's been happening in my life. You guys want to share anything that's been happening with y'all? Miss Ashley, you're new, so.
As of right now, nothing really popping. Work as usual, kind of like she.
You and Z with
Yeah,
the work.
I mean-
I'm surprised she didn't sing.
Yeah.
Give us the song. Give us the.
Work.
I was waiting for it. Okay. That's about it. Okay. What about you, Miss?
So I've been working too, but I've been doing some really cool stuff.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about it.
I work for the AFIA Center, and we produced a report that we were able to present to Congress, to our local state legislature before the session ended in May.
Okay.
On the state of Black women in Texas. So that was really cool. Also, participating in a meeting on yesterday in Austin, talking about Black health,
Okay.
encouraging us to really be proactive in dealing with our health concerns and dealing with the healthcare structure and making sure that we're receiving culturally appropriate services.
Okay.
And speaking up when we feel like we've been discriminated against or there's racism and those kinds of things. That was really cool. And AFIA Talks is a program that we have that happened on yesterday as well. For
Now tell the audience again what a FIA.
so
Is it an acronym? Or?
no, it's actually a FIA is a word.
Okay.
It means to transform, and the AFIA Center is a nonprofit organization that intentionally focuses on Black women.
Okay.
Run by Black women, incorporating culturally appropriate services with Black women as the center, using a reproductive justice framework.
Oh, that's interesting. When you brought up the fact that you guys talked to the state legislature about women's health,
Yes.
that how did that go? Because with everything that's going on with the health care bill and all of the shenanigans, I want to call it, in Washington, how did that whole thing go? I mean, what did that sound like, look like, or what have you?
So it was. I have to be honest. It was my first one.
Okay.
So I didn't really have an expectation, but we exceeded our every goal. We exceeded it. We created this report to speak to the legislature because of all the shenanigans.
Okay.
We wanted to put a document in their face saying, "Hey, this is what's happening on the street with black women, and some of your decisions are impacting this in a very negative way.
Okay.
And they were receptive. We had, not only did we have staffers in the room, which is what we expected,
Correct.
but we also had legislators in the room that were a part of the process, and were able to share what they were doing, some of the challenges that they're having, but appreciated the report that we had written. It actually helped get some of our concerns as a part of the special session, which we haven't had one in the state in a really long time.
Right.
We will have one starting July 18th, and so our main concern that we are advocating for, which is maternal mortality, will actually be on the special session.
Okay. So he is calling a special session?
Yes, it starts July 18th.
Okay. Is he calling a special session because it's some other draconian bills he wants to get pushed forward?
Well, so
Because that's what I'm thinking.
Well, so there's maternal mortality that's on the list. Also, a couple of abortion
That's what I thought.
concerns. The whole bathroom debacle.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was for the
trans
bathroom thing.
community, and some other things. But those are the four main, like, red flag kind of things,
Right,
especially as it
right.
relates to women's health.
Correct.
That are on the agenda.
Well, I sure hope in the special session that they do something with that information that you guys provided for them, and that they'll kind of take those things into consideration when they make some of their decisions. I know that the state has their agenda, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens on the federal level with the ACA now becoming whatever it's going to become, and how all of that will affect the state of Texas, since they never did do Medicaid. They didn't
Correct. They
expand
didn't know
Medicaid
expansion.
and all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, because that's one of my segments. That is my segment, by the way, just in case you didn't know.
I didn't know.
I am the pimping politics person.
Well, you
because
know
I
what?
like
Well,
politics.
listen here.
So they are really pimping us and punking us and everything
I am
else.
becoming the policy geek at our office.
Are you
and
really?
So
Okay.
black women's concerns as it relates to policy is what I do.
Okay. Well, we need to definitely talk. Because politics is my thing. I like
we are looking to become a think tank around
Okay.
policy issues for black women particularly.
Okay. Well, we definitely need to
Yes.
have a conversation.
So yeah, I'm writing it, and I'm helping my boss ideas come to fruition, and creating policy, participating in the advocacy part of creating policy that will speak to the concerns of black women, especially in the state of Texas.
Okay, that is awesome, awesome. So since we segued, and we talked about this, we can segue into the Pimpin' Politics segment. Then we'll move on and talk about our topic for the day.
Sure.
In terms of politics, I just want to say to our audience that we all need to be vigilant and mindful as to what is actually going on within this country. This healthcare bill, know how we feel about, are we trying to get another mic for us? Thank you so kindly. They need to know how we feel about this healthcare bill. And people who aren't affected by Medicaid need to recognize that this healthcare bill is going to affect us all, even those of us who have healthcare through our employer. Because what that's going to mean, based upon the little that I've read, is that the employer can now decide, because there are no restrictions, mandates, or anything, they can decide whether or not they want to offer health care to their employees. And if they decide they don't want to, then the employees are just out of luck. They can also decide how much they want to pay for your health care. So let's say, for instance, you get sick, you have cancer. If they put $100,000, I'm just using that as an arbitrary number, $100,000 cap on your care, if you have cancer, I can guarantee you 100% you will use more than $100,000 for cancer treatment.
In a month.
Yes. If it gets to a month, it could be within a couple of weeks. It just depends on what kind of cancer you have and what's really going on. So it's something that we all need to be concerned about. You can you can do a Google search and find your senators. If you don't know your senators for your state, and your representative for your state. You can do a Google search and find their numbers, their local numbers, as well as their congressional numbers. And you need to call them and tell them how you feel about this health care bill.
Yeah, you do.
We need to stop pretending like this is just those people, the poor people, who this is going to affect, the Medicaid people. It's going to affect everyone. And let me say this also. If you have an elderly parent who's now in a nursing home, if she was fortunate or he was fortunate enough to have enough money to allow them to be in a nursing home, I hope that they have enough money to allow them to be in that nursing home where you pay for it. Because if they don't, what was the backstop Medicaid will no longer be there based upon this bill. Is that pretty much accurate?
Yeah, they're good because their intent is to gut it.
Exactly, because that is the Republican mantra. I hope people realize this. The Republican Party, their mantra is to dismantle government. Every program, everything that helps people, the only thing the Republican Party is interested in, hear me well, people, they want to have winners and losers, and if you're poor in their eyes, you're a loser. That's just the bottom line with the Republican Party. And anyone who doesn't recognize that, I feel sorry for you, because if this goes through, I think that you'll recognize what is really going on. So that's my spill and pimping politics today, because like I said, they're not only pimping us, they're punking us. And it's like it's like being in an episode of what's that old show? Yes, Twilight Zone. Thank you, because that's what it's like, a Twilight Zone episode.
That's actually a very apropos way of explaining it, because in the Twilight Zone they have rules and all these things. It's just an alternative way of seeing things.
Exactly.
That doesn't really line up with reality, but it kind of sort of lines up, but you know it's not real. Right. But you can't figure out which parts are real and which parts are not.
Right. And
so
you're just
always thrown off.
Exactly. And that's what we are as a nation, thrown off in a major way. So, like I said, that's my pimping politics for the day. So, I guess we can move on.
That was a short pimp.
It was, but it was a little bit of a rant.
I was going to say, most pimps I know work a little harder for
It was just a little rant. I don't know any pimps, but okay. It was just a little rant.
They're making somebody work hard for the money. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, we're going to get into our topic. And again, we want to thank you, ladies, for being here today and helping us to discuss a topic that I think is very important for us to kind of mull over and discuss and talk about. So our topic for the day is, like I said, can a woman raise a boy to be a man? So Miss Z has some information she researched, and she's going to let us know what that's all about.
Oh, I'm gonna do my facts. You know I'm a fact person.
Okay.
So it said 13.6 million single parents raising over 21 million children.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Are we assuming that all these single parents are women?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that because I had one. I don't think. Let me see if I put it on here. 83% single mothers and 17% are single fathers that are raising their children. Mm-hmm. So you got 83% single mothers versus 17% single fathers.
So did they break that down into whether or not they're single because they're divorced, or they're single because they just had children?
No, they didn't. They didn't go into details like that. Then it said in 2016, which was just last year, 20 million single parent families, 80% were headed by single mothers. That was last year.
Okay.
Then say black women are more likely to have children outside of marriage than any other racial or ethnic groups.
And didn't we talk about that wasn't that our show last time? Why that all happens?
And then it said last year, 69% children are living with two-parent household, decreased from 88%. So it used to be 88% two-parent households. Now it has decreased to 69%.
I'm surprised it's 69%.
Me
I would
too.
have thought it would have been a lot.
Like 50.
Yeah.
Or lower.
Or lower, yeah.
Well, this was based on last year. It said
Okay.
in 2016.
So that's the most recent. That's the recent data. Data's usually a year behind or it's
Yep.
lag time. So
Yeah. So what do y'all think is going on where it seems like that the women are now the head of household and raising the children?
well,
Let's
let
talk-
our
let's
guests.
talk about
yeah,
it.
yeah. We'll let our guests. You want to go first, Miss Ashley? Let our guests talk about
question
what.
one more time.
Well, what are your thoughts on why it seemed like that the women are now the head of the household versus two-parent households?
Well, I think it's various reasons. First, I would say that women, with the empowerment of women and the women movement, women are getting better jobs. They're being more educated, which is kind of, I guess, displacing the males to some extent, and them not really stepping up to that. They'd rather step down than to step up. And then you're left with the mothers with these children. They have no choice but to take care of the household when that's all that's left. So,
What do you think, Miss?
You miss.
I mean, I do think there are a number of reasons. I'm not really sure. For me, in my own experience, I became a single parent because my husband was on crack addict. And if it were up to him, we wouldn't have gotten divorced. But I didn't think that that was a healthy environment to raise kids in. And
Correct.
it was important to me to be the shepherd that I believed was necessary to raise children. And my goal was always to create an environment that was stable. And there's no stability. If the slave master knew that you were gonna, as a male, you were gonna be protective of this woman or these children, then they could be used as weapons against you. And so that was the beginning of that. And then outside of the slavery construct, in many communities, it was not safe for men and women to live together. There were communities where women would get together, wash their communities, especially in the northern part of the world, where they would get together, save their money, and go free each other's husbands. And in doing that, once they got their men out of slavery and started creating households, the white people would come in and take their papers, burn their papers, and then they would end up re-enslaving their men. So it was not, throughout history, it has not been safe for us to be supportive of family. And so we have had, and then if you talk to generation of folks who started receiving social services, it was against the law for your male partner, husband, to live in the same house with you. So if you didn't have enough resources to support your family, what you did is you became the outside partner. I live over here, y'all live over here, I know y'all are gonna be okay. And then I'll sneak in and come visit. That doesn't teach us as a community that family, in the ways in which society says family,
Right.
is okay. And so I do think that we have some unique factors that are against us as a community when we talk about family. I do think one of the things that's a challenge now is we're also spread out from one another. So there's not community in the way in which we've become accustomed, which makes this raising of children a whole different kind of thing. So I think there are lots of levels of issues.
I agree with that.
And sadly, society is more apt to pay a woman, a black woman, more money than a black man. According to
Is that just black people, or is that just people in general? Or are we just focusing on black people?
well,
right now?
it's for this particular thing. I mean, if we want to span the conversation to people in general, then I'm more than willing to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because we don't want to perpetuate certain stereotypes. That's why we need
sure.
to make sure we.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So according to the data that I collected for the state of black women in Texas. There was a national report produced that said among women, black women generally get paid less. In terms between black women and black men, black women in most situations are paid. So all of those things, especially when ego gets involved, challenge family systems.
It does. It does. So, okay. Well, we appreciate you sharing that information with us. It's good to always know stats and how things break out.
Sure.
What we're going to do right now, before we really get more into the subject, is we're going to take a short break to make sure that we resolve any technical issues I think that we may be having. So we will take a short break, about 5 minutes back. A man and why women are left to raise boys on their own. So let's kind of get into the nitty gritty of it in terms of actually rearing a male child. So Ashley, I know how many sons. So can you tell